In the small, quiet town of Ravensbrook, nestled deep within a forest, there was a house that everyone feared. It was an old, decrepit mansion with a history steeped in darkness and mystery. The townspeople whispered of a legend that had haunted their nightmares for generations: the legend of Bloody Mary. As the story goes, Bloody Mary was once a beautiful young woman named Mary Whitman who lived in the mansion with her wealthy family. She was known for her stunning looks and enchanting charm, but beneath her facade lay a heart as cold as ice. She was said to have been obsessed with her own reflection, spending hours gazing at herself in front of an ornate mirror that now sat in the attic of the mansion. Mary's vanity and selfishness eventually led to her downfall. One fateful night, a beggar woman came knocking on the mansion's door, seeking shelter from a raging storm. Mary, consumed by her own vanity, turned the woman away, leaving her to perish in the cold and rain. It is said that the beggar woman placed a curse upon Mary, vowing that her reflection would forever haunt the mirror she so cherished. From that day on, Mary's life took a sinister turn. Her beauty began to wither away, replaced by a haggard, ghastly appearance. The once opulent mansion fell into disrepair, becoming a place of dread and despair. Mary's family vanished one by one, under circumstances shrouded in darkness. It was as if the curse was consuming them, one by one. Rumors spread like wildfire, warning anyone who dared to enter the mansion about the vengeful spirit of Bloody Mary. Tales of eerie apparitions and blood-curdling screams echoed through the town, as brave souls attempted to unravel the mysteries hidden within the mansion's walls. One night, a group of curious teenagers decided to test the legend for themselves. Armed with candles and a heart full of skepticism, they gathered in the attic where the infamous mirror now stood. As the clock struck midnight, they chanted the name Bloody Mary 3 times, their voices trembling with a mixture of fear and excitement. At first, nothing happened. The room remained still, the air heavy with anticipation. Just as the teenagers began to scoff at the legend, a faint, chilling whisper echoed through the attic. The candles flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls, and the temperature dropped dramatically. Then, in a flash of blinding light, the mirror seemed to come alive. A figure emerged from its depths, a ghastly, distorted reflection of a woman. Her eyes glowed with a malevolent fire, and her once beautiful face contorted into a grotesque mask of agony and rage. It was Bloody Mary herself, her cursed spirit awakened by the summoning. The teenagers screamed, their voices drowned out by Mary's blood-curdling wail. One by one, they fell to the ground, clutching their heads in agony as if tormented by invisible hands. The room seemed to close in on them, the walls pulsating with an otherworldly energy. Desperation filled the air as they realized they had awakened a force beyond their comprehension. In a final desperate act, one of the teenagers grabbed a nearby antique mirror and smashed it against the cursed one. The deafening shatter seemed to break the spell, and the room returned to its eerie stillness. The apparition of Bloody Mary vanished, leaving only shattered glass and a sense of lingering dread. The surviving teenagers fled the mansion, their hearts pounding with terror. They never spoke of that night again, but the horrors they had witnessed would haunt them for the rest of their lives. The legend of Bloody Mary lived on, a cautionary tale whispered in hushed tones, a reminder of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface of Ravensbrook. To this day, the mansion stands as a grim reminder of the curse that had befallen Mary Whitman. Locals avoid it, and its dilapidated state serves as a chilling testament to the horrors that once unfolded within its walls. And if you ever find yourself near Ravensbrook on a moonless night when the wind howls through the trees, beware the name that should never be spoken aloud, for you may awaken the vengeful spirit of Bloody Mary, doomed to forever haunt the mirrors that reflect her cursed existence. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow over the old abandoned farmhouse on the outskirts of town. The air was heavy with a sense of foreboding, as if the very night held its breath in anticipation of what was to come. Inside the farmhouse, a group of friends huddled together, their faces pale and their hearts racing. They had heard the rumors, the whispers that spoke of a sinister presence that dwelled within these decaying walls. But tonight, fueled by curiosity and teenage bravado, they were determined to confront the legend of Bloody Mary. The friends had gathered in the farmhouse living room, the atmosphere tense and electric. Dust danced in the air, illuminated by the flickering candlelight that barely pierced the darkness. In the center of the room stood a mirror, an ornate relic of a bygone era, rumored to be the portal to the spirit world. This was the mirror they had come to see, the mirror that held the key to summoning Bloody Mary herself. As the clock struck midnight, the group's appointed leader, Alex, stepped forward. His voice trembled slightly as he stared into the mirror, his reflection wavering in the dim light. "Bloody Mary," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary." With each repetition of the name, a palpable tension filled the room. The friends exchanged uneasy glances, their anxiety growing with each passing second. Suddenly, a chill wind swept through the farmhouse, extinguishing the candles and plunging the room into complete darkness. The friends gasped, their hearts pounding in the silence. Then, as if from nowhere, a faint whisper echoed through the room. A whisper that seemed to emanate from all directions at once. "Who summons me?" the voice hissed, its tone dripping with malevolence. The friends' breath caught in their throats, and for a moment none of them dared to speak. Finally, Sarah, her voice quivering, replied, "We seek to know your story, Bloody Mary. We wish to understand the truth behind the legend." Laughter, cold and haunting, echoed in response. "You wish to know my story? Very well, I shall tell you." The voice grew stronger, its presence seemingly materializing within the room. Centuries ago, in a time when the world was steeped in superstition and fear, there lived a woman named Mary Harrington. She was a healer, skilled in the arts of herbalism and medicine, but her talents were met with suspicion and jealousy. The townsfolk whispered of her supposed witchcraft, their accusations fueled by ignorance and paranoia. One fateful night, a group of villagers stormed Mary's home, accusing her of cursing their crops and livestock. In their frenzy, they dragged her from her home and bound her to a stake in the town square. As the flames consumed her, Mary's anguished screams filled the air, a symphony of suffering and injustice. But Mary's torment did not end with her death. The townspeople, consumed by guilt and fear, spoke her name in hushed tones, forever associating it with the horror they had inflicted upon her. And so, Mary's spirit became bound to her name, cursed to forever seek vengeance upon those who dared to summon her. The room was silent, the weight of Mary's tragic tale hanging heavily in the air. The friends exchanged somber glances, their fear mingling with a newfound empathy for the vengeful spirit before them. "We apologize for disturbing your rest, Bloody Mary," Alex said, his voice filled with sincerity. "Is there anything we can do to help you find peace?" For a moment, there was nothing but silence. Then, in a voice that seemed to carry both sorrow and longing, Mary replied, "There is one way to free me from this eternal torment. You must find my mirror, the one that reflects my true form, and shatter it at the stroke of dawn. Only then can my spirit be released." The friends nodded, their determination solidifying. With a renewed sense of purpose, they vowed to locate the mirror and break the curse that had bound Mary's spirit for centuries. As the first light of dawn began to pierce the darkness, the friends ventured deeper into the farmhouse, guided by a sense of urgency and hope. And there, hidden away in a forgotten corner of the attic, they found it, the mirror that held Bloody Mary's true reflection. As the clock ticked closer to sunrise, the friends gathered around the mirror, their hands trembling but resolute. With a collective breath, they swung a heavy object against the glass, shattering it into 1,000 pieces. In that instant, a blinding light engulfed them and a gust of wind rushed through the attic, carrying with it the faintest whisper of gratitude and release. When the light faded, the farmhouse stood silent and still, as if the weight of its haunting history had been lifted. The legend of Bloody Mary had come to an end, replaced by a tale of redemption and closure. The friends emerged from the farmhouse, their hearts lighter and their minds forever changed. They had confronted the darkness not with fear but with understanding and compassion. And as they walked away from the old farmhouse, they couldn't help but wonder if, somewhere in the beyond, Mary Harrington's spirit finally found the peace it had longed for. A peace that had been as elusive as a reflection in a shattered mirror. In the heart of the abandoned Willowbrook Manor, an air of desolation hung like a shroud. The manor had long been a source of sinister rumors and spine-chilling tales, none more infamous than the legend of Bloody Mary. Even in the faintest whisper, her name sent shivers down the spines of those brave enough to tread near the decaying mansion. One moonless night, a group of daring teenagers gathered outside Willowbrook Manor. Their intentions were simple: to test the legend of Bloody Mary for themselves. They had heard the stories, seen the fear in their friends' eyes, and tonight they were determined to uncover the truth no matter the cost. Among them was Mia, a skeptical and fearless young woman who often found herself drawn to the unexplainable. Her jet-black hair and steely resolve set her apart from the others. As they stood before the manor's imposing doors, Mia's heart raced with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Inside, the manor exuded an eerie stillness, and the group's footsteps echoed through the grand foyer. Moonlight filtered through broken windows, casting ghostly shadows that seemed to dance in silent agony. In the center of the room stood an ornate mirror, its surface tarnished by time and neglect. This was the mirror said to be the conduit to Bloody Mary's realm. Bringing out a flashlight, Mia's friend Jake began to recount the rules they had heard. You have to say Bloody Mary 3 times while looking into the mirror. Legend has it, her vengeful spirit will appear, and you'll be trapped in her gaze forever. The others exchanged nervous glances, but Mia's determination remained unwavering. She stepped forward, her voice steady and resolute. "Bloody Mary," she chanted, her reflection wavering in the dim light. "Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary." With each repetition, the room seemed to grow colder, the air thick with an unsettling energy. The others watched in breathless anticipation, their hearts pounding in the silence. Suddenly, a chilling wind swept through the manor, extinguishing the flashlight and plunging them into complete darkness. A hushed silence enveloped them, broken only by the sound of Mia's racing heartbeat. Then, from the shadows, a haunting whisper echoed through the room. "Who summons me?" Mia's heart skipped a beat, but she held her ground. "We seek to know your truth, Bloody Mary. We wish to understand the darkness that binds you." Laughter, icy and malevolent, echoed in response. "Very well, listen closely, for my tale is one of sorrow and vengeance. Centuries ago, in a village gripped by fear and ignorance, there lived a woman named Mary Devlin. She possessed an uncanny beauty that captivated all who beheld her, but her allure was met with envy and distrust. Accusations of witchcraft followed her every step, and her fate was sealed when her own lover turned her in. Condemned as a witch, Mary faced a cruel and brutal execution. Bound to a stake, flames engulfed her, and her anguished screams filled the air as she was consumed by the fire. But her suffering did not end with death. Cursed by the hatred and betrayal that had marked her final moments, Mary's spirit became bound to her name, a twisted reflection of the injustice she had endured. The room grew still as Mary's tale came to an end. The weight of her tragic story settled upon the group, filling them with a mixture of compassion and unease. "Is there a way to break the curse to free you from this torment?" Mia asked, her voice soft yet determined. A sense of longing seemed to radiate from the darkness. "There is one way to release me from this eternal prison. You must find the object that marked my wrongful demise, the one that led to my accuser's guilt, and destroy it before the stroke of dawn." The group nodded, their conviction unwavering. With newfound purpose, they ventured deeper into the manor, guided by a spectral presence that seemed to hover at the edges of their perception. They searched every room, every corner, until finally, they discovered a tattered, blood-stained journal hidden beneath a floorboard. As the first light of dawn crept through the windows, the group gathered once more in the grand foyer. With a sense of solemn determination, Mia held the journal aloft and brought a heavy object down upon it, shattering its pages and ending the curse that had bound Mary's spirit for centuries. A blinding light enveloped them, and a gust of wind swept through the manor, carrying with it a whisper of gratitude and release. When the light receded, the manor stood silent and still, as if the weight of its haunted history had finally been lifted. As the group emerged from Willowbrook Manor, they couldn't help but feel a sense of closure and triumph. The legend of Bloody Mary had been transformed from a tale of terror into one of redemption, and though they would forever bear the weight of the spirits they had encountered, they also carried with them the knowledge that compassion and understanding could conquer even the darkest of curses.